What's up guys, how's it going? Today's video is going to be a video that's been requested quite a few times in my comments, and that's how to start a race. This has been a video that I've been avoiding quite a lot because I didn't necessarily know how to address it. Every start is different, so every start is going to require different techniques to getting through it. There's no real one-stop solution to having a good start every single race. Sometimes you're going to lose spots and sometimes you're going to gain spots. But recently I've taken some time to sit down and really think about what techniques I could teach you guys to help you guys have a better, more consistent start at every race. So after thinking about it, there's 3 different strategies I use when starting a race. There's the strategies I use when I'm starting at the back of the pack, in the midfield, and in the front of the field. And in this video today, we're going to go over all 3 of those. We've all heard the saying, you can't win the race in the first corner, but it sure does help if you get a good start. So with that being said, let's start with the video. So when we're dealing with starts, I wanted to start with the easiest position to start in, and that's the rear of the field. When you're in the rear of the field, you're really trying to gain as many positions as possible. And to do that, you need to keep your momentum up. What that means is you're trying to take advantage of as many drivers as possible that have slowed down their momentum. When you're coming through the field, you're aiming to pass way more go-karts than you would starting at the front of the field. A good start, you'd get about 2 positions. When you're starting in the rear, you're looking at about 5+ more positions, so you want to take advantage of any possible opportunity that's there. How do you do that? You're looking for guys that are making mistakes and ruining their momentum. If somebody goes wide, hits their bumper with somebody else, or checks up early, that's an opportunity that you want to take advantage of. Go to the inside and pass that person so you can move on to the next one. A big thing to remember though is to proceed with caution. When you're entering the braking zone into the first corner, you want to make sure you don't drive over the guys in front of you. They're probably going to check up early. When there's a lot of jostling around and moving positions, everybody's a little bit hesitant on the brakes, and you don't want to be the guy that goes shooting in there too fast and drops your nose cone in over something stupid. So proceed with caution as you enter the corner and look for any opportunity to pass guys who have lost their momentum. Something that I like to do is look for lanes that are opening up. If the inside lane opens up, put your cart over there and see if it works. Proceed with caution, but understand that there's a lane here that's opening up and there's a possibility to pick up a lot of positions. So try and look for different lanes and different spots that are opening up on the racetrack where you can put your cart without slowing your momentum down too much. Again, the key thing is starting at the back of the pack is momentum. You want to be able to keep your speed up and be able to take advantage of any opportunity that presents itself. So to do that, you have to be going as fast as possible. So proceed with caution. You don't want to get on the brakes too hard because that'll slow down your momentum. You don't want to drive into the back of a driver in front of you because you're going to lose your momentum and not be able to pass them on the exit of the corner. Look for opportunities in the corner. If somebody steps out wide, if their cart slides a little bit, if they drop a tire, that's an opportunity. You want to take advantage of that as quick as possible so that you can pick up as many positions as possible. And then look for different lanes that are opening up on the racetrack. You got to be willing to take some risk when you're starting at the back of the pack. Again, a normal start, you're only looking to pick up 2 positions. This is a start where you're looking to pick up 5 or more positions. So you're wanting to take a little bit more risk to get that reward throughout the corner. My last race, I actually started at the back of the pack. So I'm going to go over a starting at the very rear of the field to show you guys how I got through that start. Starting this race, I'm on the driver's bumper a little bit, but I'm not going to be riding on his bumper as we go into the corner. I don't want to be right up there because I know if there's an opportunity to take, I want to be able to take advantage of it, but I don't want him slowing me down right there. So you can see he checked up and ran into the driver in front of him, and even then I wasn't that close to him, but I still had to check up a lot, and it did ruin my momentum coming off the corner. But luckily I proceeded with just enough caution that I was able to react fast enough, barely make a little contact, and then take advantage of that, center off, and pass him coming out of the corner. I picked up a few positions, and that's all I'm really looking for. Try to make up as many positions as possible without crashing or ending your race. And now I have some good momentum going forward, and now I can pass some guys on the next corner. So the next place to start in a race is the mid-pack. This is going to be the danger zone. This is where it's the most dangerous and the most likely that you're going to have an accident. So the key to getting a good start in the midfield is just surviving. Honestly, if you can just make it out of this corner, you've probably had a good start. As long as you don't fall back 3 or 4 positions, it's a decent start and you can go from there. When you're starting in the mid-pack, you have to be on the driver's bumper in front of you. I know a lot of guys that like to lay back and try and jump the start or try and play some timing game, but you're not going to be able to do anything. There's too many guys in front of you and too many guys behind you that are also trying to do this same game. So just get on the driver's bumper in front of you and be ready to slow down. I like to keep my left foot ready on that brake pedal for any moment that anybody's going to check up. A lot of the time, this is where you're going to get your drop down bumpers, is because a lot of the guys start checking up in front of you or bracing for the impact in the center of the corner, and that's when you just run into them and drop your nose cone in. So be ready with that left foot and be ready to slow down so you don't drop your nose cone in. Another thing I like to do is keep my head on a swivel. I like to check to my right and to my left and make sure I'm aware of everybody who's around me. I don't want to go into the corner and not know that there's somebody on my inside rear, and I turn down on that person, now I've spun out and I'm getting collected by a bunch of other drivers. I want to keep my head on a swivel. I want to be looking around and making sure I'm aware of my surroundings so that I know that I can go into this corner and I'm not going to be taken out in the center of the corner. Especially when you're starting on the outside when you're in the midfield, this is a very dangerous, high contact area, so you want to make sure you're aware of who's to the inside of you. Is there a driver that's trying to go even further around the outside of you? You know, how close are you to the driver in front of you? You just want to keep your head on a swivel so that you know you're not going to make contact when you go through the first corner. Another thing that I like to do that really helps me when I'm starting in the mid pack is expect to get hit in the center of the corner. A lot of the times there are drivers behind you that are going to misjudge their braking zone and are just going to smash into you. Not only does this hurt you in the center of the corner, but it can possibly jeopardize you getting a drop down penalty because you run into the driver in front of you. So what I like to do is kind of drag my brake foot into the corner just in case I get hit, so that as soon as I feel contact, I'm right on the brake pedal slowing my car down so I don't get another drop down. A 5-second penalty from a drop down is way bigger than losing 2 positions on a start, so really focus on not getting that penalty. Anticipate that hit in the center of the corner and then stay on the brakes. That'll allow you more time to react to somebody else's mistake. Another thing that I like to do is try and fill space that I see on the racetrack. When starting in the midfield, there's a lot of opportunities that you can take, but it's really high risk because there's so many drivers trying to fill in the gaps and fill in the positions. If a spot opens up onto the inside, you want to take it. If you're already on the inside, probably best bet is to stay there. Whenever you jump to the outside, obviously there's more risk to that. It can be good. I've started a lot of races where I've gone around the outside and it's done all right. But the problem is at the end of the corner, you're always going to be on that outside, and there's going to be a driver on the inside that either doesn't see you or intentionally runs you off the racetrack. So you got to be wary of that. So if you're starting on the outside, make sure you keep your head up, know who's to the inside of you. And if you're on the inside, maybe don't fill that gap that you see on the outside. Even though you might be able to pick up one position, it might jeopardize you coming out of the corner because somebody just doesn't see you or just doesn't want you there. But the key thing is to keep your head on a swivel and know where everybody is. If you can understand where your competition is when you enter that corner, you're going to have a much better time getting through that corner, and you're not going to end up off the racetrack. Make sure you're ready on that brake pedal just in case any driver checks up in front of you or you get hit from behind, so that you can slow down and you don't jeopardize your race that way. So starting in the back here, like I said, you want to get on their bumper on the start and just be aware of what's going on. Again, before we even get into it, you can't see my head, but I'm looking over to the right side to make sure I have space on the inside when I go to pinch the driver down. I don't want to pinch the driver down and then launch over the drivers in front of me, so I'm going to make sure I have space before I go down. Looking to the inside, braking early because you see all these drivers check up. And again, I'm not looking to get a drop down bumper, so I'm braking early just to make sure I don't run into their bumper. And I'm staying on that brake as I get into the corner, anticipating getting hit. You see me get hit a few times there on the exit, but in the end, I only lost 1 position, starting on the outside, entering a hairpin, and that's pretty good. That's not so bad. And finally, how do you start a race at the front of the field? So this is something that I've worked on quite a bit over the years. A few years ago, Lorenzo Travasanuto, 2-time world champion, he came to the United States and he was just destroying us on these first laps. He was able to get a good start and create just enough of a gap that we weren't really able to get back in the slipstream and close that gap back up. His speed was very similar to ours, but he had just enough pace that we weren't in the tow and we weren't able to close that gap. So after noticing this, I really decided to work hard on my starts and be able to create a gap big enough that the drivers behind me won't be able to chase back in the first couple laps. So how do I do this? Well, first of all, I really don't like playing the games of brake checking the field, overslowing, getting on the gas super early. I like to just keep a consistent speed up to the start line. By doing this, you're keeping everybody's momentum the same speed. If you overslow or go too fast, maybe the guy on the outside is going to get a better run to you because he's timed it and has better momentum going to the line. If you keep the same pace, majority of the time, nobody's going to be able to get that jump on you going into the first corner. So I really like to control the pace to the line. I like to go a lot slower, but recently with the new rule change, I have to keep my speed up quite a bit But again, keeping that consistent speed up to the line is definitely a good way to start a race. Now, what most drivers tend to do is when the drivers behind them start to accelerate, they accelerate with them. When your nerves get going and you're all excited, when you hear those engines start to crank up, that's when you want to jump to the throttle, and that's when you get to the gas. This is a big mistake because now you're allowing those drivers to push you off the line instead of you accelerating first. Let's say me and another person are in a race. We go the same exact speed, but I start the race half a second before they do. By the time we get to the finish line, I'm going to be half a second ahead of them. This is the same thing when it comes to starting a race. You want to be the guy that gets the gas first. So if you hear the drivers behind you start to get to the throttle, do not get to the gas because now you're probably the 10th or 12th person to get on the throttle. As soon as you start to hear acceleration, maintain that speed, don't go any faster, and wait till the acceleration line. This is going to create a lot of jostling behind you. Some drivers are going to slow up and speed up, and that's fine. That's not your fault. As long as you're keeping the same speed, you're within the rules. There are some times where the drivers start to accelerate so hard and they're pushing me faster. I've even gotten on the brakes just to slow down. I'm not brake checking the field because, again, I'm keeping that same speed to the line, so it's legal. So just try and make sure you keep that speed up to the line, and that'll give you the best opportunity because you're going to be the first person to accelerate off the line. And now a lot of you guys are probably asking, what do you do when you're off pole? When you're off pole, it's a bit of a different situation because, again, you're reacting to the guy on pole. A big mistake that I see a lot of drivers make is when they stare at the driver's foot who's on pole. Again, when we talk about that race where if I can start a half second before you, I'm going to beat you to the first corner. What I like to do when I'm starting off pole is use my peripheral vision to look at the driver who's starting on pole. When you're staring at the driver, you're only going to be able to react after them. If you use your peripheral vision, you can kind of see when their kart starts to move forward before they even get to the throttle, and that way you can time the start better and it's going to be a much closer race to the first corner. It's definitely a hard spot to be in, but again, like starting the mid-pack, you want to keep your head on a swivel and know who's the inside of you. Expect that hit in the center of the corner and be ready to give up that position on the inside to fall back in line. And the last tip I have to starting up front is to try and be inconsistent with how you start the races. Some races you might start slower, some races you might start faster. Try and switch it up so that the other drivers around you are not used to how you're going to start the race. Again, play within the rules. Don't brake check the field or speed up and slow down and then wait for contact and speed up again. Majority of the time, you're just going to end up with a penalty, or it's going to end up with you getting passed by somebody else on the outside. Stay within the rules, but maybe accelerate a little sooner, or maybe accelerate a little bit later. Keep the speed up just a little bit faster, or slow the field down a little bit sooner. This is stuff you can do that just confuses your competitors and allows you to have that little bit of edge going into the first corner. Starting on pole here, again, keeping that nice consistent speed. You can start to hear the drivers behind me are starting to accelerate. And even though they're starting to, I'm going to keep that same speed, apply a little bit of brake right there, and then accelerate and go. Not a bad start. I was able to get a nice clean run into the first corner there. The driver on the outside challenged a little bit, but in the end, I had the advantage. I didn't have to block that much going into the second corner, which allowed me to stretch a bit of a gap, and that set me up for the rest of the lap. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments below what your guys' best start was, how many positions you were able to pick up. I've definitely had some crazy ones throughout my career, and I'd love to know what your guys' are. Make sure to follow me on my Instagram and on my Facebook. That's where you're going to get any updates on my karting career. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps me out knowing you guys are liking and supporting this content. I also want to know if you guys want me to post my race win from the Utah Motor Campus. There's really no racing to it. I lead the entire time. There's a little bit of contact on the start, but you can't really even see it in the video. So let me know if you guys want to see that. I didn't post it because I thought it was pretty boring, but let me know if that's something you guys are interested in. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you at the next one.